Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran with Yanzi Lynn, and today is the day we are talking about the woke comic book industry on fire, literally on fire, biggest dumpster fire I've ever seen, coming out of the likes of Oni Press as another bloodbath. We have four people going to Twitter just to automatically tell you, guess what? I don't work in comics anymore. Some are saying, hey, brave new horizon out there. I'm leaving comics altogether. I've seen a lot of people saying this in tweets. They're acting like, yeah, closing the door on comics, going off to do other things. And this shocks me. It hits me in the core. Why? Because this is coming off the press just a month ago, I think, that the sales reports from ICV2 says the comic book industry is doing better than ever. Heidi McDonald telling you it's not dying. Quit your well-wishing Comicsgate. Don't believe the charlatan and con men. This is the thing. When somebody's, you ever see that thing where people are like, you can trust me? That's not, you don't want to trust that person. And the people that go, don't believe the con men, that means, well, they are lying to you, so I'm selling you the truth, which again is this big lie. What is this great big lie that the comic book industry is hiding right now? Why weren't more people bragging about having the best year, even going back before COVID? Why? Mm-hmm. Because they have to, because this is going to keep them alive another month, another paycheck, whatever. The comic industry is actually doing very horrible. They're patting themselves with all of the data, from the manga and the YA, and all of a sudden that means the industry is doing better than ever. We have retailers talking about they're making more and more money in back issues. Again, that's not new revenue going into the American comic book industry. It's good for that shop owner that's selling that, amazing fantasy, whatever, first appearance of Spider-Man. It's great for him. But it's bad for Marvel and DC. Why? They don't make a red cent off of that. They don't get royalties off these old issues. Okay. They get $0 out of that. So what's happening here, and the best metaphor I can explain how the American comic book industry works is it's a circus tent. You know how the circus tent, there's a high point. Marvel DC is the high point. They're the big poles. The companies all are the poles. So Marvel and DC kind of hold up the tent. And if Marvel and DC, those poles break, then the weight of that tent lands on all the little poles on the outside, which would be things like Boom, IDW, Oni in this case, Dark Horse, Image Comics, Archie Comics, Dynamite, all these little poles. Okay, so what we're seeing now is, and keep in mind, like, these little poles are kind of parasites to the big poles. So they only exist because the big poles are holding up the tent, kind of downstream from any profits. They basically exist off of the profits that Marvel and DC generate, so retailers can order and take a chance on Scott Pilgrim. Okay, so, or whatever Oni's printing, which I can't really tell you because it's all diversity comics. We'll get into that in a second. But back to the metaphor. So this is a sign of the weakness of the American comic book industry. Dark Horse selling themselves off to an entertainment firm. 4 more gone from Oni Press. We're probably going to see shakeups from Boom, IDW, things like that. They're losing, IDW is losing Transformers and G.I. Joe this year. Mm-hmm. That's not, where are they going to go after that? Why are those licensed? They can't afford them anymore. But let's focus on Oni. Oni today, people are saying if you're a creator and you have a creator-owned IP, you need to be checking that contract. You need to make sure you stay in the warm, you're getting everything right. Time to lawyer up. You did business with a comic book company that went woke. Here we go.
Yeah, so we have Desiree here saying, I have it on pretty good authority that Oni is dropping all their creator-owned stuff next and keeping IP only. The biggest IP I can think of offhand for Oni is Rick and Morty. I'm serious, creators. Protect yourselves, and if you need help figuring out how to get outstanding payment, ensuring you get your rights back, etc., my inbox is open. So good for you offering to help out all these people. But not so good for Oni. If you look at Oni, they lost 4 employees today. They randomly tweeted out and said, oh, I don't have a job anymore. So this is like very spontaneous, very random. And Oni was forced to issue a statement to basically say, yeah, don't worry. We are trying to evolve the company and the brand, positioning it for long-term success. So with a new framework that's being worked on now, remain committed to publishing groundbreaking content, embracing pioneering creators, all right, sure, and advancing authentic diversity and inclusion. Oh, still hopping on that, I see.
Yeah. So what does that mean, this diversity and inclusion thing? You probably heard it getting thrown around through the Netflix, through the movies, through every company trying to virtue signal. So virtuous. Here we go. What do we got? Let's name some titles here.
Well, Oni Press, like I said, the only thing I really know from them is that they do the Rick and Morty books, and I hate to say I like Rick and Morty, but it's kind of losing some steam. Let's see what they have in their shop though. Well, shop by series, as you can see, most of the stuff here that they list are actually IP stuff: Invader Zim, Rick and Morty, Sanrios. Well, T Dragon Society, I've seen it. Yeah, it's like a kind of like almost like a YA thing, almost. Oh, let's look at the product type. Wait. You have LGBTQ plus as a product type.
That is a category now. Think of that. That is a
no. It's not a category. It's a product type. So
it's a product type.
It's not a single. It's not a single. It's not a graphic novel. It's not games and merch. It's not exclusive edition. It's LGBTQ plus. All right, now let's click on it. See what they got.
What do we got here? So what's sold out right there in the middle?
Hey, it's genderqueer. Isn't that a book that's going up into the lawsuit saying that it's promoting smut and everything and it should be banned? Isn't it?
Oh my God.
Why is it sold out?
It is because of controversy, because it hit the news cycle, because it had the best advertising ever. All right, so let's just go down through some of maybe why this company.
Oh, I remember this one. A quick and easy guide to sex and disability. I remember talking about that one.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that this is what we want to give to our children these days. A quick and easy guide to queer and trans identities. A quick and easy guide to consent. I don't know. Yeah. Does it sound like grooming to you? It sounds like grooming to me.
Yeah, well, it might be grooming, but it ain't booming. Oni a couple of weeks ago pulled out their booth from San Diego Comic-Con. All right, Comic-Con. DC Comics, no booth either. So again, this is going back to the narrative that the comic industry, and the biggest lie in the comic book industry by the shillest of shill media outlets like The Beat, Bleeding Cool, none of these sites report about Eric July crossing and beating Keanu Reeves' Berserker. They had tons of articles on Berserker. Saying you need to give to all these other Kickstarter campaigns. You made too much money. Every twist and turn on Berserker they were talking about. They don't talk about Eric July making his money. This is the type of media. They're also telling you the industry's doing better than ever. But two companies so far, San Diego hasn't even came out, do not have booths, are having bloodbaths. DC Comics usually had about 20-some panels throughout Comic-Con, Superman panel, DCU town hall meetings, all of this type of panels. They're having 4 panels this year at San Diego Comic-Con, no booth. But yet, the comic book industry is doing better than ever. The reality is manga's doing better than ever. YA's doing better than ever. They don't like egg in their face, and that's the thing. And they're never going to say they're not doing better, because pretty soon they're going to say, oh, well, DC Comics did they put some Hershey bars out on the market with their characters on it. We're going to take those into comic book sales. You can't take credit for a candy bar in the American comic book sales. It's like, yeah, you can, because Superman was on the wrapper. You see how this works? Like, taking credit for manga, like, come on. Like, that's not the American comic book industry. Actually, this sales chart, they're saying the industry is doing better than ever. Actually, no money's being generated to Marvel or DC. Manga doesn't feed Marvel and DC. YA books, unless they published it, doesn't feed Marvel and DC. Back issues, no money goes to Marvel and DC for that. The only comic book shop owners are making money. Comic book shops, if the industry was doing better than ever, and the product that let's take only for a case, genderqueer, things like that, were generating revenue for them, then they wouldn't be laying people off. These people wouldn't be going to Twitter and utter like, oh my God, I just lost my job today. This isn't like an evolution per se. And they're still doubling down on, like, we're going to be groundbreaking material. We're going to be, representing all of these things. They're not going to stop doing this. They actually have to get rid of the cost of the company, and they can't step backwards, because the reason they can't pivot out of this category is because they've gotten so much attention for it. Obviously, they're not selling, but if they stop making this, then they will become an ist or a phobe in the company's DOA. It's just dead, because once you start going this way, unfortunately, you can only do more and more of it. Now, of course, doing a licensed book like Rick and Morty, there's little to no money being made with that for the company. They're paying the people that are Rick and Morty a sum to make as many books as they can for the few years. All the material reverts back to them. It's a really bad deal. And IDW, boom, they trade in this type of business, and it really doesn't get them very far. But the reason they even do it is to cause comic book shop retailers to even open up their catalog to their section. This is kind of like a lightning rod, so to speak, for guys to order or even give a fuck about their publishing division. That's one thing that they have that none of this stuff is really selling. So where does this go for the American comic book industry? Is the American comic book industry actually going to get honest with people about the sales data? That's the real takeaway here. Nobody really cares about Oni going up under. I mean, it's just an example of the big lie. And we're going to see more and more of this. I think the end of this year, I actually think the end of this year going into next year is going to look a lot different than people are speculating. I think, like, not saying the crowdfunding landscape's its own thing, but the American comic book industry already pulling out of cons. You're going to see these same companies pull out of things like New York Comic Con, Fan Expo, things like that. And they're going to start tightening their belt. They're going to try to think of ways to spend less money, and that's going to be staffers, which is funny because one of the, the one lady that was the one person, I don't know their pronouns, that was saying like, hey, come to my DMs and I'll help you, whatever. This person was part of one of the bloodbaths in the merger with Oni and Lion Forge. So what happens here is this interesting dynamic where by selling SJW material, you're going to end up having to fire SJWs. And then those SJWs are going to go to Twitter and they're going to eat you alive for firing them. They're going to try to call you an ist or a phobe for firing them because they are a person of color. And then that will force the company to hire another person of color, maybe with an extra box that you didn't have, for a cheaper price. And in the end, it's like a company taking advantage of people through diversity, paying less and less. And that's the takeaway from this. The comic book industry isn't doing better than ever. Actually, it's probably doing worse than it has ever. It's just, the data's all mixed up. We have multiple distributors. So all the sales data is a guesstimate. And this is the real reason nobody was jumping up and down and bragging and taunting it rather than Heidi McDonald. Yanzi, you have anything to add?
Well, hopefully the comic industry will continue to flourish, I guess, in spite of all these layoffs and vanishing booths and vanishing panels. I hope they continue to do better than ever. Maybe a little. But what's doing better than ever, every day doing a little bit better, is Inglorious Rex, $268,931, getting ready to hit that sweet one backer way, probably from hitting that 269. And from there, it's a hop, skip, and jump to 270. Unlocks the Rivals trading card. We have crossed 2,900 backers. Thank you guys for the support. A lot of people opening up merch as we speak. And I will leave you guys for this awesome project, Inglorious Rex.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 cents for imposters, so now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the game. Can't control me. I got